There we go. I don't know why I wasn't doing that. That's fine. Yes. There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. So, um, I had no video camera for a while. Actually, just got one. Let me see if I can share side by side. Ta-da. It does share side by side. Okay. I don't know if that's going to work out for you or not, but I'll do that for now. Um, so anyway, I was without a video camera for a while, and I was very busy at work, so I did not record anything because I wasn't really working on school. I did, however, submit, since the last recording, my research discussion post, and then I answered two people. So I'm going to log in there just to show you what it looked like. If you are new joining me, I am in English 190 at SNHU University. And look, I got an A. That's from two assignments. Very excited about that. Can't believe it. So here is the discussion module that we did. So this was already submitted. And I'm going to find me. So one of the challenges when you submit something is that you get feedback from your peers. And where am I? Anyhow, oh, there I am. And it's not always feedback that you agree with. So here was my article, or two articles that I sent the links to and was talking about what my research question was, why I chose the resources, what the perspectives were, and the voices. And let's see. Let's see. So the sources I chose align with studying the effects of increased workload on patient satisfaction and patient safety. And then I discussed what was in each article, showing that inefficiencies that lead to delays and bottlenecking was part of the study. And then that the other one was looking at staff fatigue and workload and how they contribute to patient safety risks. And then they ask, what are the perspectives in both of them and how do they differ? So I said, in Papa et al., the primary voice is clinical and operational functioning on data analysis in a tone that's objective and data-driven, while Pickup et al. Speaks from a safety and workplace perspective. The tone is both advocacy and cautionary. Then they asked, do the voices and perspectives represented in these sources give a full and fair picture of whom the topic touches? If not, what perspectives do you need to consider? And I said that the perspective of Papa et al. Is a system-level process improvement perspective aiming to identify causative inefficiencies and correct workflow delays. Patients' experiences are discussed indirectly, pursuant to enhance patient safety while providing data-driven insights in healthcare operations that speak to hospital administrators, surgeons, and clinical managers. The perspective of Pickup et al. Is human-centered and protagonist detective given a voice to frontline healthcare workers while providing a actionable insight for healthcare executives, policymakers, and safety officers. And I said both of them give a different picture on the topic. They touch on the topic touches, but have a bias due to the intention of the article to implement process change and policy change. What is not directly analyzed was the monetary impact. However, they are implied, but that was not the purpose of my research. I looked to find the balance between staff well-being, patient satisfaction, and quality of care within the healthcare organizations. Then I put my references. There is a rubric for this, and let me go back to the discussion with me not in here, because now that I'm looking at this, already submitted. Let's look at the rubric. Share the links, describe the two sources, what different perspectives, what voices are present, and how they differ. I don't know if I did the voices in there. Well, do the voices and perspective in these sources give a full, fair picture? I don't think I answered that. Oops. How did I not do that? Let me look at the actual Word document here. I'll pull this over to the screen. Oh, it's open on the other side. Give me a second. You got to be careful when you're submitting these things that you're actually answering questions. Oh, that's the first one. That's not it. Is this it? Yes. Describe what are the different perspectives, the voices and perspective. Full picture. I don't think I answered that. Yeah, I don't think, oops. I may lose some points on that, guys. Well, that sucks. I didn't say whether it was they gave a full fair picture. Huh. Not good. Let's look at some of my coworkers' perspectives and see if they said that. I should have put the numeric thing and I would have missed it. All right. Um, hmm. Wow. This is what happens when you rest and you actually, why is my light off? When you rest and you actually figure out that you didn't read it right. I did not read it right. Let's look at this first one. In my research, I should have just wrote it like this. Didn't read well. Yeah, he's answering that they didn't capture something. Oh, Lord. I did not answer it. Damn. I need to just get over it, huh? Okay. Well, pay attention for next one, right? So anyway, so going back to mine, I did get a reply from somebody. Where am I? Got a lot of people viewing it though. I did not answer that question. All right, so if you click on here, then that's where you're going to see the responses. All right, so Jessica said she noticed that both of us sources focus both on primarily on policy economic impact, but that's actually not what I don't know what she was looking at because that wasn't my articles. So I disagreed with her and I said that um, the sources came from not from a government agency or business journal. Um, but I have to disagree. Neither of my sources come from a government agency or business journal. And I put the title that it was published in a peer-reviewed academic medical journal, that the authors are physicians and researchers, not government officials. The purpose was to analyze the delay factors. And the purpose of the other article was to look at fatigue and examine the system level of fatigue. And then he said it was published in a professional journal. Its tone and purpose aligned strongly with staff advocacy rather than neutral data reporting. And this is why I chose the article. And I said the authors address healthcare staff fatigue as a recognized risk. And I said, therefore, while not produced by an official advocacy organization, it can reasonably be classified as a staff advocacy source because it promotes awareness, reform, and protective measures. And I say, I understand your point and agree with you about including advocacy or ethical voices. But I said that one source represents one form of advocacy through staff-centered focus. And then I said staff advocacy, I can't say that word, was already representative. I said, in summary, I agree that expanded perspectives would make the discussion more comprehensive. And then I thought about it. I said, although I didn't agree with her about what was missing from my research, that I went back to the initial post and refocused on my research question. And then I said the issue identified as workload compression and its potential to impact customer service satisfaction and patient safety in the healthcare setting. My argument is that although employee satisfaction often improves under a compressed work week, the increased volume of cases could cause delays leading to decreased patient satisfaction. I'm not going to read all this, but anyway, I included the additional resource. I wish I had said all of that in here. I did not answer whether they gave a full and fair picture. I don't think so. Hmm. So I think that was my way of answering it. It was not given the monetary impact. I hope she sees it that way. If not, I'll take it as a lesson learned. So I have joined on the SNHU site for videos. Of course, I can't watch them when I'm at work. So I don't know why that light went out like that. Sorry if I got bad lighting in here. I didn't want to put this above light because it seems like it's too bright. It's catching part of that. Let me see if I can put that on. It might help. I don't know if it was catching the top part of the light or not. No, it's not. I think I must have been looking at this other camera. I have another camera, but I've not recorded anything on here yet. Let me, if I can tilt this. Ship back. Sorry, guys. Currently experiencing technical difficulties. Yeah, that's why. I think I did that. because it was getting that light above me. Okay. Anyway, while I'm messing with this, I know what I did want to go find those videos. Ah, see, damn it, did it again. Sorry, guys, I'm very distracted. Right before you submit stuff, you know what happened was, I'll tell you exactly what happened, how I wound up doing that, screwing that up. Um, so I worked till 8 o'clock at night. That first night that it was due, I did submit it. I don't know if it was that morning before I went to work. I think I might have submitted it that morning before I went to work. So I didn't really get a chance to look at it. So that was why that went wrong. Okay. Let me get back in here so I can find the academic support page and we can see the videos. It's hard. It's not easy trying to submit your work when you're physically exhausted and when you've not had enough sleep. So I blame it on that. And I really am doing the best I can. I'm stretched thin. And this is why I wanted you guys to see what this is like. Because if I can do it as a manager, working as many hours as I do, then, I don't know everybody's life, but more than likely you can do, maybe I add another book. Yeah. Um, More than likely, if you have more time than I do, then you'd have more success in getting your assignments done because you wouldn't be as pressed for time. You know, I know people have kids. When I first went to nursing school, I had kids in school. My youngest was 2, and 5 kids. And I was running my husband's restaurant. We had 5 restaurants. And it was an abusive marriage. He wasn't beating me or anything, but he was verbally abusive. And when I went to school, it got worse. He was threatened by my independence. So I just want to encourage you, if you're in a circumstance like that, you get the fire under you, and I did. I wanted to get the heck out of that relationship. You can absolutely get through it. So I'm supposed to get my grade back today. So I'll let you know how bad I screwed that one up. Ah, so frustrating. All right. Student services, is it into here? I think if you go into here, you find it, the academic link. Yes, academic support. Here we go. Wait for it to load. I'm super thirsty. Academic support. Yay. So if you go to my account, you can do previous sessions and you can look at this one was finding great research, persuasive and research writing series. Let's see what this one's about. There are sources on there if you actually have time to participate and read. Literally, the problem with me is I've got like 5 minutes to dash and run most days. Not 5 minutes, but you know what I'm saying? Like by the time I get ready in the morning, and I try to post this to encourage people, it's about a half an hour I've got. Then when I come home, it's really hard to concentrate. That's typically when I work on stuff, and I don't have a lot of energy left at the end of the day. But I did when I came home, I did posted those discussions, my replies to people. All right, so let's see if I can move this forward a little. And this is talking about, okay, welcome to the Academic Support Center meeting. And I guess they were waiting for people. There's a guideline here for APA style. That was a link put in there. We'll look at that. Oh, here we go. All right, we'll look at that in a bit. We'll go back to, oops. Did it take me out of there? No, here it goes. Why is nobody talking? Maybe they're waiting for people. I got my volume on. Yeah. Oh, I gotta press play. Such a retard. Oh my God. I'm tired. Let's press play.
Look at the chat screen to put your question in the chat.
All right. Hopefully you
So
can
I'm
hear.
one of the learning support specialists here. I have my MFA in creative writing and my MA in English from SNHU.
Oh,
I've been a learning support specialist for right at 4 years.
wow. Okay.
And also to go see where you can go to get the recordings, which will be available within about 24 hours of the session. There is a link I put in the chat as well. So you would go to the academic support landing page within your Brightspace. You would go to Brightspace, go to your class, go to academic support once again, and then you'll go over here to my account. There'll be a drop-down menu, and you go to previous sessions. And now, if you've had any like one-on-ones with like an academic coach or anything, or previous one-on-ones with a tutor, those are going to be at the top, so you'll have to scroll down to the bottom of the screen to see the workshops. So what we're going to go over today is what is an audience, why we need to know our audience, how to choose an audience, creating a target audience profile, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Hold on, guys.
So what is an audience? So what comes to mind when you are asked, when you think about what is an audience? For me, I think of of a live audience at a concert or at a movie, where you're there live with all these other people. Reading, as far as there's two types. One's live, one's reading. Reading is they're not there at the same time you are. But a live audience is there at the same time you are. And the differences are the live audience is there at the same time, the same location, in person or virtual. You have a shared experience, two-way communication. Reading, your reading audience, it can be there at any time, various locations, rarely in person, individual experience, and one-way communication. So why do we need to know our audience? Anticipate your audience's prior knowledge, needs and expectations, attitude, beliefs, and values. So let's say, for example, your topic is anthropogenic climate change. You know that your audience is already aware and agrees that it exists. In this case, you would be persuading your audience to implement changes on the state or local levels by providing evidence of the impact it can make. You are persuading for a call to action. Let's change the audience now. For example, let's say your audience is on the fence whether anthropogenic climate change is real. Your focus should be to provide evidence that it exists. Let's break this down. So, looking at prior knowledge first. What do they know already? What do they need to know, and what do they not need to know? So knowing what your audience already knows makes it possible for you to make the best decisions about how much or how little context and background information you include in your essay. Determine what they already know. For example, if your audience is people already working in an industry, they may not need to know as much context or definition of terms. Mm-hmm. If they don't work in the industry, they will need more definitions and background information so they can follow your argument.
Makes sense.
This also allows you to see what details might be unimportant for that audience to know. Either something that will already be common knowledge to them or information that's irrelevant to their circumstances and background. One example could be a history class. Let's say you're writing a historical analysis for your college peers to read, who may not be familiar with many historical topics. In this case, you might add definitions or provide more historical context, which serves as a background information to help this audience understand what you're analyzing. In comparison, if you're writing historical analysis for others, specifically in your major or a conference paper for academic historians, you might not add so much context or define related events because they already have prior knowledge of the time period. And expectations. Why did they pick up your paper? How is the topic relevant to them? What do they want to know? And how will they benefit from reading? So you'll consider these questions when you think about your audience's needs and expectations. Why would they choose to read your paper? What is their interest in the topic, their motivation for seeking out someone's opinion? What are they looking to learn? How can you provide the answers they're looking for? How is this topic relevant to them? Is it relevant to their personal life, their job, or their goals? How will they benefit from reading your paper? Will it enrich their life? Will it give them direction or guidance? Will it alert them to an issue that they care about? As you can see, there can be many reasons for an audience to be interested in your persuasive essay. So, attitude. I don't agree with your stance at all. I feel negatively towards your ideas. I can see your point, but there are too many barriers to make a change. I already agree with you, but I need to learn more about how I can help. So now that you've asked yourself the motivational factors behind your audience, let's go further. You need to consider the current attitude your audience has towards your topic and stance. Do they care a lot about the issue? Do they agree with your point of view? What are the barriers that prevent them from believing or doing what you want them to believe or do? Your audience's attitude will change how you build your argument. It will impact what you focus on, what argument you ultimately make, and what concerns you'll address. For someone who doesn't agree with you at all, you'll need to address the concerns about the morality of your issue. For someone who sees your point of view but feels there are too many barriers preventing them from doing what you want them to do, you'll need to address the concerns of those barriers and how they can be overcome and why they're worth overcoming. If they already agree with you but aren't sure what they can do about it, you'll want to address the concern of feeling overwhelmed or stuck. Now, beliefs and values. There's fairness and equality, freedom for the good of the whole, empathy, and prosperity. So when you build an argument, you want to use your audience's existing beliefs and values to show why your argument should be important to them. Trying to convince someone to change their values is futile. It's usually futile. But if you can show them how your values aligns with theirs, you will have a real chance at changing their mind. If someone values freedom, you can show how your stance supports freedom. If someone values prosperity, you can show them how changing their behavior will benefit them financially in the long run. If someone values empathy, you can show how changing their behavior can make things better for other people. Other values may include freedom, prosperity, and fairness and equality. So how to choose your audience. So now, there's a couple of slides on this. So you want to think beyond the classroom. Your professor, your classmates, family, coworkers, who else? So your obvious audience is your professor and your classmates right now. Most likely these will be the only people to read your essay. But for the sake of this, pretend this assignment that you're working on, pretend this essay will be published. Who will you send the essay out to? Who do you want to read it? Think outside your classroom. Who do you want to convince? There are a few ideas listed on this slide. So outside of your professor and your classmates, would your family be interested in reading this? Your coworkers, anyone else you could think of that would be interested in this essay? And why would they be interested in it? So, what is your purpose? Okay, so choosing your audience depends on the purpose of your writing. Why you're writing this essay besides being assigned it, once you have a purpose, you can choose your audience. Here are some examples of different purposes for writing a persuasive essay. On the left, we have the potential purpose, and on the right, we have a question to help us find our audience. So, to bring awareness to a problem. Well, who needs to be aware? To convince someone to change their behavior, who needs to change their behavior? To change someone's opinion, whose opinion do you want to sway? To motivate someone taking action, who are you trying to motivate? So these are some questions you can think about as far as your purpose. So now, creating a target audience profile. So these next few slides are going to go over the profile and what you would need to look for in conceptualizing and visualizing your audience for your essay. So you can use this method to better understand your target reader and keep them in mind as you outline and write your essay. Okay, so this is kind of an exercise. You can stop the video here or in the next couple of slides. First, you want to create a character who is a fictional individual who represents your target audience. Create a profile of attributes. Keep this character in mind as you plan your essay. So when you create an audience profile, you're creating a fictional character who can represent your more general audience. This character will have a profile of attributes that allows you to better conceptualize who your audience is. This can help you focus on your readers while you're writing your essay. It's harder to focus on some theoretical group of people. When you create your character to focus on, you know exactly who you're talking to. If it helps, you can base this character off of someone or someone's you know in real life, or several people you know in real life, basically. So the profile, these are things you can look at for the profile: their age, their job, education, economic status, relationship status, parenthood status, sexual orientation, political alignment, social media use.
I'm gonna stop that for a second. So, okay, well, you see my previous sessions. Wanted to go back in here because I don't know, I don't think they asked if who my audience was in that assignment for the discussion. Let's look again. I want to look at the rubric. Oh, well, here it goes, basically what the assignment was. Share the links to the sources. I did that. Describe the two sources, how they support your topic. I wasn't very clear on that. I am really hard on myself though, so what voices? No, it doesn't talk about your audience here. I think that was in the first assignment. Let's go back to that. See, the way that they have this class set up is actually pretty good. Because each thing leads to the next thing. So the first thing, module 1 assignment here, or directions: select a category, review the categories, after selecting a category that interests you, note in your submission your category choice, then review the articles, and then carefully read your article. As you read, consider some possible topic ideas, and then you're going to cut and paste the whatever format you chose for the citing of the article. And then you're going to identify a database topic on your chosen source. Consider, you state the topic you've identified, and then you state 2 perspectives on your topics that, and who would be interested in this topic. You write a research question. You explain how your research identifies a specific aspect of your issue. You explain your research question, how it aims to solve a problem. And then you identify the complex arguments, counter arguments. And I don't know if I did that. I'm like questioning myself, going all the way back. The reason I'm focusing on it, even though these assignments are already submitted, is because if I've not answered these questions, how am I going forward to the next paper? So I've got to answer the questions if I haven't done that yet for myself. So let's see. I did answer that. So my goal is to obtain valid data to achieve the concerns about choosing employee retention over patient satisfaction, safety. And then complex discussion. I think that's what she's talking about, complex arguments. So this question explores the balance between staff well-being, patient safety, and quality. Okay, so that is what arguments. Identify the complex arguments and counter arguments. I put complex discussion, but I didn't put in there what the counter arguments would be. So, I mean, the counter arguments are pretty simple in this article. I'm just saying it to myself now. It's basically nursing's wanting to stick with the 4-day work week. And so that's one thing I didn't answer in there. And so I think I lost my focus with the paper in that regard, because when I did finally answer my peer, she had looked at what was missing. I really never did. And because I did not address that, I someday am hopefully going to use this research to benefit my nursing staff, I didn't look at how the nurse's perspective needs to tie into this. It absolutely does. I just automatically assume, because of my own bias about the 4-day work week, that everybody just wants it, regardless of whether it's hard to work the 4 days with a compressed work week or not. And I honestly didn't think I'd find any perspectives that would tell me, would say, hey, I like the 4 days off, but this is kind of risky. I didn't even think I'd find anything like that. So I'm glad I'm talking this out with you while I'm working through this, because this is helping me to refocus. I did find an additional article with somebody actually saying that there were some people who were surveyed that were concerned over that. Even though, it seems like we're working less days, we are working less days, but we're not working less hard. This is my concern, and I don't think I'm going to be able to answer this question, because it's going to be based off of what administrative staff leadership decide on doing long term. So you got to understand that in the outpatient surgical world, we're the bread and butter of the hospital. We're part of the hospital, even though it's a separate building, and we're the money makers. And so I can't foresee that they are going to reduce the amount of cases that we do on a 4-day work week, or possibly even on a 5-day work week, because it's about bringing in the bucks. And I'm sorry if anybody is offended by that, but it absolutely is the case. It's a business, not a nonprofit hospital. So here's where the dilemma arises. How do we manage the volume that we have when there's so many contributing factors that lead to delays and having to stay late? That's going to be outside of this research question, and it's something that I will absolutely look further into. Right now, I'm just trying to see which day, in an ideal world, if we had 5 days that the cases were actually spread out, it'd be much better for staff. We have had very high numbers lately for volume, and we're seeing it now with the things that the studies are showing. Patients not being happy with the delays. There's a lot of things that are contributing to it. Doctors coming in late. That's one of the contributing things. But there's things that in that first article, Papada et al., that looks at different fields within the OR, like, endoscopy and all the other specialties. So we're not in the OR, we're in the endosuite sides, still considered an OR, but it's not sterile. But there, we've got 4 endo rooms, and then we have 4 ORs. And supposedly the amount of turnover time is included. I briefly looked at it when my boss showed me that, and I'm not convinced that the numbers are accurate, because I'm seeing it get backlogged. But anyway, that's a conversation for another time. So the whole purpose of having this discussion is really, I want you, if you're in this class and maybe you think that you missed it somehow, You missed something in there. Go back when you're working on your subsequent papers. Go back to the original one because the reason that they have it formatted, let me pull it over so you can look at it the way that they do, and I made it big so you could see it, is it breaks everything down. So there was the topic or category, the article, the debatable topic, the research question. They want you to have a broad question, refine it, basically clarify what you're focusing on, solve a problem. Here is where I should have put the arguments. So I put the question explores the balance between staff well-being, patient satisfaction. It's not just staff well-being. It's also, I'm going to add this, even though this is already submitted, staff well-being and retention, staff retention. Because if they're not happy working there because you're working them like a dog, either 4-day, 5-day, no matter what the amount of time you're working, you're going to have a problem. Right now, the way that our center works is ideal for employees with, family time and school. So go back and look at your paper, state why you want to do this in the first place. I want to understand basically how to meet not just the patient needs, but my employees' needs. So that's all I have to say on that one. The next one is, let me minimize this. The next topic that we have, oops, we're all the way going to number 3. So module 1, the journal. Oh, not number 3. 3 is after this. The journal guidelines. And so here it's wanting you to list your sources. Now, because I added that third one, and I did ask my instructor if I needed to do that or not, she said only 2 were required. And am I making my life more complicated? Probably. But I really am interested in an answer. It's not just to get pass the class and get a grade. I really do want to find some answers. And because I have both sides, people who were for it, people who were against it, I felt like I really needed to include that additional source. So my sources are going to be 3 sources. And then for each of my sources, I have to describe how each source supports my topic and discuss how why I trust the credibility of each of these sources, and then how I think my audience. Now, remember, my audience, even though right now is my fellow students, I'm trying to present this basically for admin. Discuss how I think my audience will view the credibility, and then explain the bias that I found in each source, and then how it impacts my argument, and how I think my audience will respond to it in each source. So I have to make sure I'm actually following this. So I'm going to work on that because even though I think I've got it completed, now I'm questioning everything, which is not a bad thing because it's not submitted yet. I have to submit it tomorrow. So I have time. But I hope that, somebody's getting something out of this. I know this has been very stressful for my coworkers and myself. It's a lot working full time, having, all the responsibilities we do, even, just with family things. I have not been in school for a long time, and so it is a challenge for me. I am finding that I'm easily distracted still with the ADD. So I think when sometimes I'm focusing so much on the smaller elements that I'm not seeing the bigger picture. So pray for me, please, that I do that so I'm not missing stuff. All right. I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'm going to stop recording and I'm going to end this. And I hope you guys have a great Saturday. Please feel free to comment on my pages. I'd like some feedback. Thanks.